we've got one. Oh, and it's a thumper. Yeah, I'm not happy. Imagine that latching onto you if you're a robin, eh? Okay, so I just want to say I have nothing personal against this animal. He's here because of human ignorance, but we've got to keep in the front of our minds what it takes to feed a cat this size and for it to be in the condition it's in. We're in this beautiful place and this is just an utter killing machine. I hate to think what this cat has slayed to survive, you know. So this guy just has to go. He's just doing what he's got to do, but we've got to do what we've got to do as well. That's it.
It's hard to estimate the size of the feral cat problem in New Zealand. One number that has been bandied about is 2.4 million, but estimates go as high as 14 million. Not only are they killing machines, eating birds, bats, frogs, lizards and even insects, but they've also been linked to the extinction of at least 14 native bird species. Despite this, they're not part of predator-free 2050s list. They've infiltrated some of our most remote and pristine places, like Fiordland, where we are now with Victor Tindale. He's a hunter and fisher on a mission. For him, this pocket of Fiordland, near Lake Manapuri, is a special place. He comes here to fish the crystal clear waters and to hunt deer in the moss-covered beech forests. The fear of losing places like this have made him the person he is now.
So I got into hunting from a really young age, growing up on a sheep and beef farm. It just kind of was a natural thing, taking care of rabbits on the farm, getting around with an air rifle probably before I even started primary school, you know, trying to trap mice and rats and things like that. And they just progressed on to deer shooting later on with my father and then going out on my own. My first hunting trip with my father, which I remember, it's very special. We took the same rifle I've got here right now actually. My father went on ahead and he shot a goat, made a beautiful goat stew. We camped. It was a fantastic trip. Just a few years later, not very long, we're at home and I distinctly remember my father saying, "Hey, let's go back to where we had that goat stew, you know." So we packed up some camping gear and got in the car and we're driving out there. I'm still very young. And my father pulls the car over. And there was nothing but bare paddocks and I didn't know what was going on. And I'd never seen any sort of destruction of the environment before. I was totally unaware, just really naive. And I'll never forget that it was like a shock when my father said, I remember his voice clearly, he goes, "I'm really sorry, matey, it's just not here anymore." And that just carved something in stone for the rest of my life. That, that wonderful place that was so special, all that beautiful bush, it was just gone. That was my first experience of just being utterly shocked at what man does to the landscape.
Victor describes himself as a hunter, fisher and conservationist. He's made it a choice to only target pest species like deer and trout for food. And for him, there's no joy in hunting when the bush and its inhabitants aren't thriving. He says seeing the bush under pressure is like seeing a friend dying. Feral cats are on his hit list, but he's no cat hater. In fact, he has a pet cat at home called Tigger he's rather fond of. And while Victor loves Tigger, there's a huge difference between an indoor cat and the feral cats prowling Fiordland. He's brought us here to show us firsthand what's happening in our wilds. We've hiked to Back Valley Hut, where, for Victor, this all began.
So what's inspired this trip here was I've come here for the last 2 roaring seasons with a couple of friends, and one day I was walking into the clearing here after going for a hunt, and I noticed feral cat scat or droppings. There were some traps here, and I thought, well, the cats might be hanging around because of the venison scraps that other hunters have left. So I set the trap, and very quickly I caught what I thought was the cat. So I was pretty stoked with myself. I thought I'll set it again just in case. And later that afternoon, I think we were just out here actually, and we heard the trap go and caught another cat. Same thing happened the next day. So I had 4 cats. Found that rather alarming. I would not have presumed there was that many cats here. So wanted to encourage other hunters who come here to use the traps and catch feral cats, make them aware, because if I hadn't seen that cat sign, I wouldn't have known they were even here. So I made this plaque, and I buried the cats out of the way behind the hut, nice and tidily in a row, a little bit of a laugh, but I wanted to encourage other hunters. I emailed Doc, and I thought they'd have a chuckle, you know, and be pleased, but it was nothing of the sort. Basically, the attitude was I was a naughty boy who hadn't really done anything worthwhile, and I needed to be growled for digging up the ground, for burying the cats. What I can quote, what was said to me was, I don't mean to knock your efforts, but it's not an area that we do any pest control. I couldn't come back here to just go hunting without doing something to help.
But even helping came with red tape. There are trapping permits available for community groups, but when it comes to individuals wanting to help, it's a bit of a vacuum.
What a rigmarole for me to get a permit. There's not really even anything set up for cats anyway. To get a hunting permit, it literally takes 2 minutes. And I can get a permit for all of New Zealand for 12 months. A few taps of the keyboard, comes through on an email, I'm good to go for 12 months. On the other hand, for that same person to get a permit to carry a couple of traps to help better the environment, there's really nothing set up. It's, you know, months and months down the line. I've taken up a whole lot of time of Doc's staff member. There's no reason why that could not be set up to be way more accessible, just as easy as a hunting permit.
The only option he has is to apply for a commercial possum permit. Armed with the permit and approved traps, Victor returned to the same area to try his luck at catching more cats.
We checked a live capture cage trap, and we had an absolute stonker of a female tabby in there. To get a breeder like that as well, I mean, I'd hate to think how many litters of kittens she's had and what she has eaten. We thought we had probably caught, you know, the biggest cat we were going to, and next trap we clear right here by the hut again, a monster tom. I've never seen a cat like it. I've seen cats all my life, feral cats on the farm and a few in the bush before. Big cats like that, anything that moves that can eat it. Any type of bird they can get hold of, honestly. We all know what cats are like. They're incredible hunters. And these aren't little soft little fluffy kittens. Whoa, that is solid. I've seen a lot of feral cats in my life, since I was a little fella. On the farm, you know, feral cats and that, they're nothing like this. That is unreal. I just can't get over it. I won't get over how big that is. Whew. I can't save the place all on my own, or, you know, all the national parks, but there's a lot of guys like me, or people, going out hunting, and as we've shown here, with just a few traps, you can really make a difference. There's a real opportunity to just do a little bit of trapping, and a little bit adds up to a lot. I think that's being missed. There are tens of thousands of hunters. Imagine that, you know, encourage them. But there's no encouragement from Doc. I'm not going to kid myself and say that, you know, catching a couple here and then going back home up north, that I've changed a lot. But if it needs to be done consistently, you know, if this was getting done regularly, done more often, then yeah, it could really make a difference. I feel really good about removing those critters, but they are going to get replaced again. More will move in, so they need to be targeted.
By the end of the trip, Victor caught 5 cats, 2 stoats, 1 ferret and 18 adult possums. He's written to Tama Potaka, the Minister for Conservation, asking for the permit system to be made easier, so people like him can trap cats without having to apply for a commercial possum licence. Tama Potaka has passed the request onto the Department of Conservation, but so far Victor hasn't heard any news on whether his request is being considered. Victor's already planning his next trip to the same area and is expecting to catch more cats. One day he would like to visit and hear the call of kiwi in the bush.
Yeah, I have seen footage where kiwis, maybe adult, those large kiwis, fend off a stoat or a possum or whatever. They are not fending these off, not a chance. I can promise you now, there is no kiwi that could fight off the cats we're catching.